The very first Lady Seed was back in Iowa, and I attended as an instructor in training, and these women were in the middle, it's June, and it was in the middle of the heat, and they just stuck it out, and they learned, and all the questions being asked. I mean, it just, that's why I became a Lady Seed coordinator as well, just because it's just this great camaraderie that happened, and all that kind of sticks with me along the way.
Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing and the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your host, Angie Scott and Barb Carey.
Hey everyone, coming up on this week's episode, Trisha Bries, a certified instructor from Project Appleseed, joins Barb Carey and I. Project Appleseed is a nonpartisan group of men and women who are committed to upholding the values and principles of America's founding fathers. They do this through using rifle marksmanship instruction as a gateway to help bring our nation's history to life and to show that many of the values that our forefathers relied on to win our independence are still very much in demand today. Trisha talks about the Lady Seed program, which is a marksmanship program designed specifically for women, what it took for her to become a Project Appleseed instructor, and much more. Shooting sports are growing in popularity, and they're more than just for hunters. It's a great way to challenge and compete against yourself. Even if you've never shot a gun before, we highly recommend you listen to this episode. It might just pique your curiosity to check out an Appleseed event near you and challenge yourself to try something different. We hope you enjoy.
Project Appleseed is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization. We are a two-part program. We teach marksmanship and American heritage. So most people hear about the marksmanship side, and they want to come to an Appleseed, learn how to shoot, or get better at their skills. And we teach all three positions: the prone, the seated, the standing, how to actually use a sling. We teach 6 steps of firing a shot. We teach how to actually sight in your rifle quickly and efficiently, and so you're not wasting a lot of time. The actual point of aim, I mean, it's a lot thrown in, and most of the time it's a 2-day program. Once in a while we do have 1-day events as well. And then on the other side of it is the American heritage side. So a heritage, I like to believe, is a piece of history that is important to us. And so in Appleseed, we focus on one date in particular, and that's April 19th, 1775. It is the day the Revolutionary War started, and it's really the day we became Americans, because there were choices made by the men and women back then, so that they made choices back then so we can have this free country, because they were willing to fight for our freedom and for our liberty. And so we talk about, like I said, the stories that happened, because it wasn't just, farmers picked up, their firearms or, pickaxes one day and decided they were going to go fight against the best, army in the entire world. There were things that led up to it, and they were sick and tired of, the king coming in and trying to take control over this land, over the people. And because of that, there are 3 events that happened on April 19th, and the third event on Miriam's Corner was the day, the time at about noon, where choices were made and we couldn't turn back, and then the war began at that moment. So we love to tell those stories, because they're everyday people. They're people like you, they're people like me, and they made these choices, so we have what we have. We have the best country in the entire world, I like to believe. And most others do as well.
Do you find that when people hear the story of the history that they're reminded of something they previously learned, or it's like the first time they're actually really...
And then think that's just what happened, So when we go into detail about it, there's this eye-opener, like, oh my gosh, this is more than just, this battle of farmers against the king, and we just so happened to win. Like, they are really listening to the stories heard, if they had heard anything. And it's more than just Paul Revere riding around on a horse too, which is maybe about the only thing they hear as well in school.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think it kind of personalizes it more. It makes you, kind of feel like. I mean, I talked to the people this summer when I was at a Glow, and it was kind of an interesting concept. I have never heard of Project Appleseed before, but having that historical component, I think, kind of makes you value the history even more.
I agree. I mean, I feel like Appleseed takes that part, and teaches your everyday American where we came from, where we started, and it makes that connection to what we have, and then they really take those stories, and you tend to hear them tell other people about them, because it's like, oh, this is really cool. This person did this, versus dates and history and names, and most people are like, oh, history's so boring, and then when they get to an Appleseed, they are really excited and ask a lot of questions and really get into it.
So from what I understand, there's different programs, like specific programs that are offered through Project Appleseed. So these events that you talk about, can you talk a little bit about the different specific programs that are offered?
We do have a few. So our regular one is the 2-day Appleseed program. I mean, it's for everybody, children, men, women, doesn't matter what age, as long as, the parents feel their child is going to be safe, and, obviously laws with each state as well. So like those are your 2-day program. Some ranges, some places only offer 1 day. So we put all our instruction into 1 day, but again, it's still everything that we teach. It's just kind of a faster pace. And then we have, it's been about 10 years of Project Appleseed. Started back in 2006. And then we started doing what is called a Lady Seed program in 2009. So it's been about 10 years. And it's where it's just all female shooters. And it just allows kind of this uniqueness of having women together, coming together and shooting, and the camaraderie that you see and the friendship built at these events. And there might be, male, female instructors, but it's always just for the women shooters. So we have that, and then we hear a little bit more of the women's stories at these events. And then we do what are called Liberty Seeds. That has nothing to do with the shooting. We don't go out to the ranges and shoot. It's more of you go to the library or a church or, some place and just teach the history of April 19th, 1775. And so they get immersed in that and hear the stories from back then as well.
Who attends this? Is it people that are trying to improve their rifle skills, or people that have never shot before? Who's the usual demographic that you get to attend one of these?
A lot of beginners come to this, but I have known any shooter who comes in, no matter how long they've been shooting, if they're coming in with an open mind, they will leave learning something. It's always been that way, but you have to come in with an open mind because you will learn something. So it's for everybody. Doesn't matter what, your skill level is. We do tend to see a little bit more of the beginner side, but it is for everybody.
And then, how many people come out to an event? Is it, do you try to keep them fairly small groups, or what kind of group size is it typically?
It depends on the range itself, what size the range is. But I believe the average event is between 12 and 15 shooters. And
are you seeing more and more female attendance, even in the co-ed events?
I personally am in Wisconsin. I have seen more female attendees, and I believe nationwide as well. I mean, it's still, it's not 50-50 by any means, but it's still more and more women are attending these events, and we're getting, it's great to see more families, and moms are bringing their children out, all of that as well. So I feel like it's a very unique and program in that sense.
What would it cost to attend one of the things if somebody wanted to sign up?
It is, I believe, $70 a weekend. So it's per event when you sign up for something like this, when it's supposed to be a 2-day weekend. And then you are shooting close to 500 rounds in a weekend as well. You bring your own rifle and your own ammo and all of that, but we teach you, get down one-on-one, teach you so much, and that $70 is, well worth it to see and to be able to get all that behind your rifle, practice.
And then, How did you get involved in this program? And we didn't really cover that.
So I started back in 2008. My father-in-law had been to a couple. He absolutely loved it. So he got his wife to go, and then she kind of bribed us, my husband and her daughter, and bribed us to go. And weren't really all for it. Again, it was back in 2008. The program basically had just started, and so I went and fell in love. I fell in love with the history. I loved being able to go out and shoot and learn all of that, but there was just a piece of history with learning about another mom, since I'm a mom myself, making a connection with what she had done. And then I just wanted to keep going and try to do well with the shooting, but also continue hearing the stories. And then I thought I'd never be an instructor, to be honest with you. And then I was sitting there teaching other people in the backyard, just kind of, hey, let's get your elbow under it a certain way. And then next thing I knew, the instructor hat kind of landed on the head. And I've never looked back since, and I absolutely love it. Now I'm the National Ladies Coordinator for Appleseed and senior instructor, shoot boss, all of that. So it's a wonderful program, and it kind of really builds you up too, and it teaches you to, I guess, to be a better person. I feel like.
And you had to go through some sort of qualification process to become an instructor, correct?
Correct. So at an Appleseed, after we teach you all the skills and the knowledge and all of that, we do what is called an Appleseed qualification test. You have to do 2 minutes standing, offhand, and you have to shoot 10 rounds. And then you'll do seated, and you have 2 targets to aim at, and then you have again 10 rounds, and you have 55 seconds to get your shots off. Then the third round is 65 seconds in prone, and the second and third stage are transition, and then the bottom one is 4 targets. You have 5 minutes to shoot 10 rounds in those targets as well. So you're shooting a total of 40 rounds. And then if you shoot expert on that, which is 210 points out of 250 or higher, 210 points or higher out of 250, then you were considered a rifleman or an expert shooter. Once you've attended 2 Appleseed events and have shot riflemen, you can take an instructor in training hat. Then you go through the process. There's 4 steps as an instructor in training, because there's so much we teach. We want to make sure our instructors are taking it step by step to learn exactly what we want to teach our shooters, and doing it properly. And then after that, you can become a full instructor. And then if you want to become a shoot boss, the person running the event, there's also 3 more steps to go through to be able to do that as well.
Yeah, sounds intense. And I suppose, people first get involved, you got to almost learn the history good enough to teach it also.
Yeah, so that's part of the steps. In order to become an instructor, you not only need to learn the instruction and how to teach the instruction and all of it verbatim, you also need to be able to give, be up there and tell the history. And it's never something we would ever expect for history to be, perfect by any means, but to be able to go up there and tell the stories, of these men, of these women, so those shooters can take that and make that connection and remember it. Because we're not expecting everyone to be a teacher. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to already have a teaching background in order to be an instructor, if that makes sense. Because you learn one thing after another.
And you're a teacher, correct?
Yes, I am a teacher. I'm a second grade teacher. So I already kind of had that background, but I think that's probably why I fell in love with the history immediately, because it was something that I wanted to go out and tell people about.
Yeah, it's definitely interested. What if you don't have your own rifle?
Then they're on the website, on our appleseedinfo.org website. If you go on there, there's a contact us. They can go to their state, and there's a state coordinator, and they can contact the state coordinator and say, I'm going to attend this event, but could I borrow a rifle? And we'll make sure the shoot boss of the event will get that request, and we'll bring a loaner rifle to the event for that person.
Oh, that's awesome.
Are there any stories that you've seen over the years that you've been involved that kind of pop out? I'm kind of throwing this at you. I didn't give you any heads up about a lot of questions, but is there any cool stories or anything that pops out that you've witnessed or seen over the years through Project Appleseed?
Well, I've definitely done a fair amount of traveling for Appleseed. And I don't know if I have any, I guess, specific, I would say, stories, but like I've gone to Florida or Idaho for some lady seats and just meeting the people, and coming across, they're laying, in the dirt all day long. Some of them are getting rained on, depending on the weather itself, and they're just sticking through it, and there's still smiles on their faces. And, to go from some of them bring a rifle they've never shot before and not knowing how to handle it to, by the end of the weekend, being an expert with it. I mean, stuff like that sticks with me, and the smiles on their faces, The very first lady seed was back in Iowa, and I attended as an instructor in training, and these women were in the middle, it was June, and it was in the middle of the heat, and they just stuck it out, and they learned, and all the questions being asked. I mean, it just, that's why I became a lady seed coordinator as well, just because it's just this great camaraderie that happens, and all that kind of sticks with me along the way. And the children who attend these as well, it's just the excitement. I guess there was one time, we don't always, we have the paper targets that they shoot at. But, when you get a little child, sometimes that paper target is the most exciting thing. So I found some clay pigeons that weren't all shot up and stuck that up there and just had them make sure they're safe. Still got, taught all the, the prone, the seated, the standing. We kept them in prone, and they would just shoot at that clay target, and it would explode, and the smiles on their faces. Because they still got to learn how to shoot, even if it wasn't at a paper target. Like, things like that is just, it's fun. I mean, I absolutely love it.
Well, I know shooting sports are really getting more popular. I know later this month we're going to have a kind of a professional shooter champion, Serena Janowski, on the show. But I think just in general, especially with women, but I think across the board, the shooting sports are really, really taken off.
That's what I'm seeing too. And a lot of people that seem to be going to an Appleseed, they seem, a lot of them are now starting to take that to other programs, Camp Perry events and things like that. And they're shooting, what I'm hearing, they're shooting very well with Adam too.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those, kind of skills that you kind of got to stick with, I mean, I know I've had various trainings and stuff, but I always enjoy getting back out there and just kind of, upping it up a notch. Whether you're a hunter or not, I think that non-hunters can really appreciate some of these shooting sports as well, just because it's, you're competing against yourself, and there's ways to improve. And I think that's something that, non-hunters can really benefit from as well.
Oh, I fully agree. I'm not a hunter. I love going out and teaching other people how to shoot, and I love shooting at steel and paper targets and all of that, and it's just fun. I mean, it's an amazing thing that we can go out and do, and make sure we do it safely. But it's unlike anything else I think out there, whether you're a hunter or not.
So if people were interested in taking a course or finding out more, where should they go to take a look?
I would say they could go right on our website, appleseedinfo.org. So appleseedinfo.org is our main website, and you can go from there. And if you have any questions beyond that, there is a forum that they can go on and connect with, more local people too, which is right on our homepage.
I also see on the website there's a way to become a member or make donations to help support Project Appleseed. I guess it maybe if you're not interested in actually attending, but you still want to support, that would be one good way that you could do that.
Yes, and being a member is it's basically becoming donating, and it's $20 a year. And once you come to an Appleseed, you are also considered, it's a marksmanship program, and if you're a member of an affiliated CMP program, which we are, you can then take what we teach you, get the certificate, become a member, and then you can go to the CMP and get a rifle shipped right to your door too. So, or go out and pick one if you are at either one of the places that have them. I mean, so there's a lot of these benefits that kind of go with Appleseed as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to look into this further. Is there anything coming up in Wisconsin?
We have a few shoots that are in Racine, Wisconsin, and then because it's nearing the end of the year, we're working with a lot of our ranges right now to get 2020 events set up as well. So I know yearly in Wisconsin, we're going to be having a Lady Seed in Hubertus, which is near Milwaukee, and so we're hoping to build that one and continue to grow more and get more and more Lady Seeds out and continue to have more apple seeds, throughout the nation, just like normal.
Yeah. Well, be sure to let me know when the Wisconsin one is coming, because I know a lot of outdoor gals around this area, and we can make sure we can get the word out for you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah, I see I'm down here in Tennessee, and I noticed there were some events in Alabama, which isn't too far. And then there's actually a lot of events coming up in Tennessee too. So if you go to the appleseedinfo.org website and click on events, you can click on your state and see everything that's coming up in your area.
Yes, that is. And then, like I said, if they have any questions, anything they needed, they contact the state coordinator, which they can find under Contact Us, and we can get those questions answered for them as well.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much. We'll make sure to put links of all that stuff in the show notes.
All right, thank you. We appreciate that.